Hello. In this video, I'm going to cover more about the Undaunted celebration event that's coming up on September 18th through the 30th. So let's get into it. This is part 2, so if you didn't see part 1, go ahead and check that out. How you can prepare for the event if you happen to come up on the event before it starts, then that'll be the video you want to watch. This is going to be what you should do during the event. So once you've gotten into the event, there's two main things that I like to look at. Uh, Farming for style pages. If you don't know where to look to see which ones you're missing or which ones you have, you go up here into your collections. You go into collections again. It's towards the bottom here, so if you hit R2 or if you're on another system, I'm not sure what button that is. It's the same as light attack on PlayStation, so probably same for those other systems. If you hit your light attack button, once you're in this menu here, hit your light attack button, go into the armor styles, and there's two places you're going to need to look here in the head section as well as the shoulders. So go in and hit your light attack button 1, 2, 3, 4 times, and then you'll be into your Undaunted section. This will tell you which style pages you already have, and if they are grayed out like these two are down here, that means you do not have those yet. They're say not collected. And so this is how you can figure out which ones you have. The opals are very rare to get because they only drop during the Undaunted event, and you have to do the dungeon on hard mode every time in order to get the opal style pages. That's the one caveat for these. The opal style pages, you have to complete the dungeon every time on hard mode. These other style pages, whenever a style page is up, you can tell that by a couple of ways. You can go into the crown store, and if you happen to see an arms pack here, that will tell you there is an active style page dropping in that dungeon. Another way you can check is go to the Undaunted vendor, and if there is a shoulder pack available to purchase for 50 keys, then that means, again, that there is an active style page dropping in the dungeon. So you want to make sure that there's actually one dropping. So during the event, there are going to be several style pages available in Opals. Make sure you check your event listing when they do come out. I will tell you, in years past, that the list has not always been accurate. I have had style pages drop in dungeons where it wasn't listed on the provided list from the developers. So you have a chance of getting a style page from any of these. Probably, I'll just say it's probably a chance. It's not guaranteed, but I have had a time or two where a style page has dropped during the Undaunted celebration, and there was not an active list on there for that dungeon to have a drop on it. So I would recommend always run the dungeon on veteran for multiple reasons. One, you could get a style page drop. Two, your chests are better, so you can get better gear out of the chests during the run. And then you're also going to get more from the Undaunted pledge when you go to turn that in if it's a veteran versus a normal, and then if you do it on hard mode, it's even more so. So keep an eye out on those. Whatever the Opal listing is this year, if you don't have a certain one, for example, I believe last year was Opal Earthgore. It might have been Opal Velidreth. I don't remember which one. Whichever one is the DLC, I would recommend running that first because all the other ones that are out have been run before, and so you may be able to find them on traders, or it's probably going to be an easier dungeon. So I would focus, if you're wanting to get the Opal DLC one, focus on that one first, and then work backwards from that to the easier ones, because if you can knock the harder one out first, then you're going to get easier as you go. So the style pages, that's a great event to fill these in. I do not recommend running just a normal style page farm anymore, because they are uh, a pain in the butt to get. That you do get an increased drop rate if you have the achievement. So, for example, if you were going to run um, Imperial City Prison on hard mode, this is the hard mode achievement here. And if you have this achievement done, then you get an increased drop rate for just running the dungeon on normal veteran, and you have an increased drop rate at getting the standard style page for Lord Warden if it is available. Now, if you are going for an opal, you need to run the dungeon on hard mode every time. That's a small caveat there that's not really well explained, so I'm going to go over that here there. Now, the other thing is, besides style pages, there are dungeons that I recommend focusing on to fill your sticker book up. This is one of the most powerful tools you can have in your toolkit for running dungeons and trials, is to make sure that you have a full sticker book so you can easily build gear. So I'm going to quickly touch on dungeons that you should have filled in and completed during this event, so that you can make sure that you have all of the usable dungeons done, so you can just freely build gear. And then once you have that done, you can just fill in the sticker book on what's left. So for base game dungeons, I'm going to start at the top here, and I'm going to recommend City of Ash Part 2. Make sure you have Valkynscoria all the way done. Now, why am I recommending this? It's mainly for the one piece bonus, because this provides a line of penetration. This has become much more optimal now once they have nerfed the Slime Craw helm, as I've covered in a previous video. This is a much more optimal helm to run. Um, you can set this on your headpiece, and then you don't have to be concerned with your 5-piece sets rather having a line of penetration. You can, for example, run Deadly Strike and Null Arca, and you'll still be under, or I should say, over the pen cap. I keep saying that wrong. I gotta get that right one of these days. But once you get City of Ash 2 on Veteran done, then you can check that off. You can run the dungeon on Part 1 on Veteran. I would always run the dungeon on Vet during this event. You're going to get a lot better results out of this, because your chests will have a better chance of having weapons in them. If you run it on normal, you're going to just get junk out of your treasure chests. So I would recommend, these are all easy, and if you run them on Vet, you're going to get a better result for your turn in your coffers and all of that. So City of Ash 2. Next up, Crypt of Hearts 2. Narayanith is a very good DPS set. If you have room to fill in a monster set, this is a really good one, because it procs off of direct damage. Well, they changed beams to be direct damage, so this sucker is going to proc off of that really easily. I know it says 15% chance, but if you've got a beam ticking 3 times a second for 5 seconds or so, you're pretty much going to proc this a lot. So if you've got room on your build, this is a really good one to use. It's a AOE magic damage. It's not a real big AOE, but it's a good magic damage set. The other set out of Crypt of Hearts, Leviathan. This is a really good critical chance set. Medium armor. Slap it on your armor pieces, and this sucker will actually crit quite a lot for you. I believe it is a right around 15% critical chance when you gold this out. So it's got a pretty good number for critical chance, and it does not shut off. There's no proc condition or anything like that. If you dip below a certain amount of resource or health or whatnot, it doesn't matter. It never fluctuates. It never shuts off. So that's another good set there. Next up, Elden Hollow 2 Healers. This is a really good set if you're starting out. Bogged in the Night Flame. This is a really good set if you're just starting out healing and looking for something to add to your build. This is a really good one. Whenever you heal yourself or an ally, you drop a totem on the ground, and anybody within 5 meters of that totem is going to get heals every second. This is a really good one. If you got a group that's stacked up real nice and tight, this will drop right in the middle of them, and everybody will get nice heals from that. Coming up next, Fungal Grotto 1. This dungeon is going to get ran like crazy during this event. So make sure you get your crowd filled in. This is exactly the same as Falcon Scoria. It's got the one piece offensive penetration, so you can fill this in if you don't have Falcon Scoria or if you don't want to run City of Ash 2. I wouldn't blame you there. That dungeon is very long. This is a much easier one to get. The two-piece bonus is actually pretty nice in PvP. I have that on a sorcerer build that is pretty fun to run. The other sets in here, I wouldn't really recommend messing with that much. But moving along, Celine's Web. This is a very good monster set to parse with. There's a lot of builds out there running the Null Arca and Highland Sentinel setup, and also now going forward, the Berserking Warrior with Null Arca and this set, and they're not using the Velothi and getting some really high numbers. So if you're wanting to parse with this set, it's a great time to farm this dungeon and get the monster helm and the shoulders done. The sets out of here are not really that optimal, but the monster set is really good in PvP as well. Coming up next, Spindle Clutch 1. Bloodspawn is really good for PvP. Swarm Mother, if you're tanking, this is a really nice set to slap on for ad pulls. It helps you yank everything in and stack stuff up. Other than that, the 5-piece sets are not really that great, but I would focus on the monster sets, and if you've got a Undaunted Pledge for either one of these, part 1 or 2, these are really easy to get done. Part 1 especially is really easy to do. If you happen to get that dungeon during the event, you definitely want to pick it up on all your characters. A really easy one to finish. The Banished Cells is up next. Jailbreaker, I run this on my crafting builds. This is really nice. It gives you minor expedition at all times. If you're in PvP and going to run a scroll from the bottom of the map all the way up to your home keep, this is a really nice set to slap on because it's got minor expedition at all times. But this is the set I wanted to highlight, Sanctuary for healers. This is a situational set that you could put on in certain circumstances. Not always going to be used, but in certain fights it could be helpful to keep people alive. Maw the Infernal has lost a little bit of its mojo and is not as beneficial anymore. Sork pet builds are kind of falling off a little bit. If you are on a Sork pet build, then this is a really good monster set, but other than that, I would not recommend running this for PvE content. Wayrest Sewers. There's a couple of sets out of here that are really, really good. Slimecraw is still really good. If you have this built or you still need to get it, this one is a really easy one to get, and it's nice to run this because it's got the one-piece critical chance on it. So if you're wanting to run, for example, Onsul already has a line of penetration. You don't need to run 2 lines of penetration, so you would want to slap this on if you're going to run Onsul's Torment or the craftable set, the Tideborn Wildstalker, then you'd want to run this as your monster set instead of Valkynscoria or Kraug, because this is going to increase your critical chance. This right here, Combat Physician, this is one of the sets that I recommend for if you're doing really tough trials, to run this on one of your healers to give your group shields. This is going to really help keep people alive. If you're still running heavy attack builds, this is the number one best set in the game for heavy attack builds. It still can be run on PvP because they did not change this to only hit monsters. This still can hit players as well. So if you're into a heavy attack PvP build, this is a good one. The two throw is not really a great set, so I'm going to skip covering that one. But the Slime Craw, Combat Physician, and Sergeant's Mail are really good. That's the base game dungeons I'm going to recommend. And now I'm going to try to go over this as quickly as possible so the video is not an hour long. But for DLC dungeons, Imperial City Prison, Lord Warden is very good for tanking. I would recommend this as an essential set. If you're off tanking and you're standing in your group, this really helps getting your group some resistances. Scathing Mage has gained some notoriety because it procs off of direct damage. And so if you're on a beam build, for example, this could be something that would be really nice to fit in, but be careful. It may not be as optimal as, for example, Deadly Strike is probably going to hit better in that if you're going to pair these up one against each other. Deadly Strike will probably outperform this, but who knows, there may be a build out there where this is beneficial to you. White Gold Tower, the tried and true number one healer set in the game. Spell Power Cure. Make sure you farm this down and get everything farmed down to the nub so that you can build this cheaply. If you are a healer or even want to heal, this is a really, really good set to have. You really want to focus on this. Cradle of Shadows. If you're a PvPer, this is a really good set. It could also be good for DPS. The other sets are, I would say, put the other sets in that dungeon as to fill them in when you're done. Bloodroot Forge. Got another healer monster set here that's not as optimal, but if you don't have anything else, you could use this, and it's really good. Flame Blossom. This can be a really good DPS set in certain situations, but it is not as optimal as others. So be careful what you're putting this on. The nice thing is that it does proc if you just do damage. It's not a chance damage or even a specific type of damage. The problem is the 2 through 4 pieces are kind of weak. So and it is light armor, so be careful where you use this one. Scale Collar Peak is up next. Zons for the 1 piece is really good. If you in a build that you can get the 2-piece bonus, then this is a really strong set to use for. But the main premier set out of here is Jorvold's Guidance. If you're a healer, this is another one that you really want to focus on getting farmed down to, and getting it to where you can build this for cheap. March of Sacrifices is another PvP set. Balorg. This is a very common set to use in PvP. If you're interested in PvP, this is a really good one for that. Make sure you farm this down and get these done. You should really almost get everything farmed in almost one dungeon. If you're running with people that already have some of this stuff, they could pass you what you're missing, and you could probably get it done in one run. Um, the Depths of Malatar is another healer set for monster set that's pretty good. I would say it's not as optimal anymore because there's other ways of getting resources to your team. So I would recommend making this a situational healer set. If you don't have some of the other stuff, then this is a good one to put on. Again, the rest of these, Scavenging Demise is a very good PvP set. This will do really good on a poison damage build. So next up is Frost Vault. Um, Two sets out of here are really good. The Mighty Glacier Tanking set. I've done a video on this. It's really nice to use this instead of being in Winter's Embrace jail, as I call it, on a tank. You can still provide major resolve to your entire group without having to take the Winter's Embrace skill line. And then, of course, the Zogben's Warband Critical Chance set is still really good. Um, the Minor Force is probably going to be redundant on this set, but the critical chance that this set provides is still really, really good. So moving on to the pain in the ass dungeon of the game, Lair of Marsalok. Um, Marsalok monster set is really good in PvP. Azure Blight Reaper has absolutely fallen into the bin now that beams are no longer damage over time. If you happen to make a damage over time build, then this could be good, but the use that it was getting was that multiple players were using this in a trial, and so now they have increased the stacks that you need to have for this to proc, uh, and so it has lost a lot of its power. The Dragon's Defilement, this can be really nice in ad pulls to get minor breach in an AoE. Very situational, very kind of pop it on for ad pulls. If you're using the Wizard's Wardrobe, then this could be a set that you pop in for ad pulls just to make it real easy to get minor breach in an AoE while you drop caltrops on the ground for major. That could be a really nice and easy way to just get 9,000 breach on all the enemies and rip through ad pulls. But right here is the uh, golden ticket for this dungeon, Zen's Redress. I would recommend that if you're going to get into trials in any role, you probably want to farm this set because it's going to be asked for quite a lot, and it's I've seen a lot of cases where the trial is all filled up and they're only looking for somebody that can run the Zen set. If you've got it farmed down and built, you could fill that role, and you could be that last person that gets in on a trial. If you don't have it built and you don't have this farmed down, then you're not going to be able to fill that role. So make sure you focus on this one here. This is a really common one to use. Unhallowed Grave. This is another really good DPS set if you can use both pieces. It is a single target, so it's not as strong as some of the other sets that hit an AoE. Also, Aegis Collar can be really strong if you are able to use a melee weapon on your front bar. Draugr Grip can be really good in PvP, but this is a light armor set, so you want to be careful with that. And then Grave Guardian, you can provide your nearby group members armor while you're bracing. I would say this is probably not as optimal because it is a unique armor, but it's really easy to get your group armor with a different method. But that's going to be that one. Stone Garden. Dungeon tank builds. Arcasis Genius. This is really good for that. As well as Elemental Catalyst is still very situational, but I would say if your group is not at critical damage cap, then this might be the set that you want to implement to help everybody get in there, because this will add 15% critical damage if you get a build going properly to run. So check out Stone Garden for that. Black Drake Villa. The Incradius Behemoth mask is really good if you've got a lot of fire damage in your group, either outgoing or incoming. This can be really strong. And once again, the kitty makes her debut. But we also have Drake's Rush. This is also another really good dungeon tank set. Check this one out if you're going to run a tank in dungeons. This is really good to help keep your group up with ultimate. Next up is the Cauldron. Another very good dungeon to run for sets. Baron Zadras is an absolutely essential tanking monster set, in my opinion. This really stacks the ultimate up really good. And then this right here is really good on pet builds. If you get a lot of pets going, this is going to increase the damage of your pets by 20%. So if you've got a lot of damage from pets on your build, this is a really good one to look at. They did upgrade the 2 through 4 piece on this, so it's much better than it used to be. So the Dread Cellar. These 3 sets right here used to be all very, very good. Magma Incarnate, you pretty much only want to run this for the 1 piece. The 2 piece is really not that great. Crimson Oath, if you for some reason need to strip armor off the enemies, then this is a really good set to use. I would recommend this over using Roar of Alkosh, because this is much easier to manage. You don't have to rely on anybody else to help you proc this set. Excuse me. This is a much better set to run. Rush of Agony, I would recommend this in maybe dungeons for pulling adds together as a tank. But this is mainly a PvP set. The damage does scale off of your weapon and spell damage, so you're not going to get a lot of damage as a tank, but it will help you pull stuff together. But I don't think it's as good as the Void Bash set. I think the Void Bash set does a better job of that, honestly. And it's only 2 pieces rather than the whole 5. So next up is Coral Airy. This is another dungeon that the sets are kind of except for this set right here for tanking. I'm still calling this set out. If this catches on, this is a really good set. This is a really easy set to use on a tank, on a main tank. I would recommend. You can increase the status effect chance for your entire group while the tether is up by 200%. Tank sets have become a lot more different in terms of what's useful depending on what your group is. And so this could be the puzzle piece that you're missing to increase status effect chance in your group. Shipwright's Regret is going to be the next one that I cover. Nazare is a really good monster set if you need it. If you've got a lot of DPS running the Colossus Ultimate, then this one may not be as necessary. However, if you've only got 1 DPS running the Colossus, you may need this. So make sure you farm this one down. And then also Turning Tide. This is really good for dungeons. And it could be situationally good in trials, depending on, again, whether or not you've got Colossus in your group or not, because this gives Major Vulnerability, which is the same benefit as the Colossus Ultimate from the Necromancer. So Situationally, depending on what your group has, you may need it, you may not. But if you need it, it's nicer to have it ready to build than not. Earthen Root Enclave, really the only decent set out of here, I believe, is the monster set. And that is a situational set as well because it procs off of heavy attacks. You can use this as the one-piece offensive penetration if you want to. Um, if you've got it built and it costs you just the same as all your other ones, maybe you aesthetically like the look of the bear head. Has the offensive penetration on it, similar to Valken Scoria or Kraug. So this would be another option you could plug in if you want to. Um, Scrivener's Hall is going to be the next one that I cover. Ozazon the Inferno. This is, in my opinion, an optimal, necessary, absolutely needed helm for healers for trials. This is absolutely a game changer. It helps keep your groups alive by giving them a lot of armor when they're getting overhealed, and if they are not at full health, then they get minor vitality, which will help them get to full health faster. Um, these two sets here are not real great. However, the Rune Carver's Blaze, if you're on a damage over time build, this can be extremely strong and can help you proc burning a lot. This has lost a lot of its luster because, again, beams are not considered damage over time anymore. So this is something that they killed this set with, but it still could be strong if you are on a damage over time setup. So keep this one in mind if you are on a damage over time set. I will recommend if you do run this set, you're going to want to make sure that it's active all times. You do not want to single bar this. So running this on the jewelry and your smaller light pieces or even the weapons, I wouldn't recommend the weapons as much. More so these, because if you bar swap, it's going to reset your timer on the ticks. Balsanar, getting down into the nitty gritty here. I know this is kind of long, so I'm trying to go as fast as I can. Roxa, this is a PvP set. If you're into PvP and you need resources, or if you're tanking and you need resources, this is pretty much the best one in the game for that. And then Bedlam Veil, another monster set for healers. This is really, really good. Gives a damage shield whenever you critically heal. Very, very good set here. And as well as the PvP set Tarnished Nightmare. If you have gotten blown up in Cyrodiil or Imperial City or Battlegrounds, this set right here probably did it. So if you want to get back at them with a taste of your own medicine, this is the set you want to farm. Make sure you focus on that during the Undaunted event. Exiled Redoubt. This is a dungeon I have to button up myself. I don't have this farmed completely down yet. But Gerency's Bladestorm. This is a really good DPS set. I have a specific build. I believe I'm actually wearing it right now. Yes, I am. This is a very strong set. And it's very easy to proc. All you have to do is be in combat and use an effect on the ground, and it does an absolute massive amount of damage over time. So check that set out if you want. I've done a video on it exclusively, as well as a build video using this set. Very, very strong, very fun to use. Check it out. The other and final dungeon I'm going to cover is Lepsiclusa, the Orphean the Tactician. This set is really fun to pair with Gerency's from Exiled Redoubt because they proc on the same condition. So if you're on a build that can plug both of those in, you can get a lot of AoE damage by doing the same thing to proc both sets. So the rest of these are not as great, but I would recommend if I went through all of those dungeons there and you've gotten all of those done, then just fill up your sticker book with whatever you're missing. I'm almost completely done with mine. I've just got the 2 new ones to do. And then when update 47 launches, I will have Naj Kaldish and the Black Gem Foundry to finish up. But I would recommend focusing on getting your keys from the pledges as well as your style pages from doing your hard mode clears, getting your opals and all of that. And then I would focus on honestly completing your sticker book for dungeons a high priority during this event, because if you get this done, it's really going to help you with your builds for trials, PvP, and dungeons, and even overland. Any build that you work on is going to become easier because you're going to be able to get your your transmute crystals back. If the set doesn't work out and you were wrong about something, you can always break it down and build something else, and it's only going to cost you the materials. So I'm going to end this video here because I know it's been way longer than I wanted it to be, but thank you very much for watching. If you thought this was helpful, and you're still listening to me for some reason, maybe you're as crazy as I am. But thanks for watching. Check out my channel for more content on my created playlists. If you go onto my YouTube channel and go down into my created playlists, uh, all my content is separated there by subject there, tanking, DPS, all that. Again, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in another video. Bye.